All right, boys and girls, my name is Frank Kline, and I am the very proud principal of Abbott Elementary School. And here today, I've been asked to read the book Two Bobbies, and it is a true story of Hurricane Katrina, friendship, and survival. The authors are Kirby Larson and Mary Nethery. Neither Bobby the dog nor Bobcat has a tail, and some say that's what brought them together. No one knows for sure how they met. Perhaps their owner had a soft spot for pets with no tails. But the two Bobbies, as they've come to be known, were exactly the friend the other needed at exactly the right time. And there's a nice picture of them sitting together. The city of New Orleans, on the mighty Mississippi, is a place many people and pets call home. Jamming with jazz and dressing up fancy for Mardi Gras, it bustled with life day and night. But on August 29, 2005, Hurricane Katrina bore down on the city and everyone who lived there, including a wisp of a cat and one puppy. Winds roared to 110 miles an hour. Rain pounded hard and fast. Strong winds pushed the walls of the water of the Gulf of Mexico into Lake Pontchartrain. Some of the levees holding back the lake gave way. Water poured into the city, deeper and deeper. People who stayed through the storm were finally forced to leave their homes. They had to say goodbye to everything they loved. Many were told they could not take their pets. Bobby and Bobcat were left behind. Bobby had been tethered with a length of chain. Bobcat stayed by her side. Together, in the silent heat, they waited for help to come. And as you can see, the water is coming up near the house here, so it kind of kept them on the porch. After the storm, volunteers from across the country came to New Orleans to lend a hand. They brought food and water. They rescued people stranded on the roofs of their homes, and they rescued many animals. But with so much damage and confusion, the two Bobbies were not rescued. Their food and water gone, Bobby finally broke free. She dragged along a broken chain with Bobcat close behind. And we can see where they're starting to leave the porch here. In the early days after the hurricane, the two Bobbies tried to make their way around oily water littered with debris. After the waters receded, they traveled the buckled streets with no place to call home. And if you can look and see, and you notice in the pictures, we have lots of fallen trees and still some water and debris, which another word for that might be garbage or trash, is kind of littered all over the streets. Month after month passed, and Bobby and Bobcat wandered a devastated city. Their days and nights were filled with danger. Packs of hungry, homeless dogs roamed the streets, fighting smaller animals for food. Were Bobby and Bobcat chased away from any scraps they might have found? With little food to eat or clean water to drink, Bobby's ribs began to show. Bobcat's brown sugar markings started to fade into a dull white. And we can see, again, lots of the stray dogs here, and you can see Bobby and Bobcat here kind of walking away. One day in January, 4 months later, Bobby and Bobcat strayed onto a job site. The construction crew hammered and sawed, fixing up a motel damaged by the hurricane. A worker's dog rushed over to play with Bobby. The dog's owner, Rich, noticed that Bobcat too. He saw how thin the two strays were and began feeding them. He trimmed Bobby's chain, leaving enough to jingle on the ground because Bobcat liked to follow it. But every time Rich tried to touch Bobcat, Bobby growled. After a week of caring for the two Bobbies, Rich got some bad news when his boss came to the job site. He had given permission for one dog, but not two dogs and a cat. He said Bobby and Bobcat had to go. And you can see this must be Rich, and you can see what he is trying to take care of, not just his dog, but Bobby and Bobcat. Rich was determined to take them to a safe place, but Bobby still growled whenever Rich got too near Bobcat. She would not let him pick up or even touch her friend, so Rich rattled a bowl full of kibble. Bobby followed the food to Rich's van, and Bobcat followed Bobby. Rich drove them to a temporary shelter at Best Friends Animal Society set up in the Celebration Station, a former video arcade. The shelter was completely filled with homeless dogs and cats, but a volunteer welcomed them in, even naming them Bobby and Bobcat for their bobtails. They were placed in separate rooms. And you can see where they're showing up at the shelter here. All night long, Bobby howled and barked. Bobcat paced back and forth. No one could sleep with Bobby making such a ruckus, so volunteers made a large pen for her and put Bobcat in his smaller carrier inside Bobby's new cage. Bobby lay in front of Bobcat and whimpered. The volunteers opened the small cage to see what would happen. The two Bobbies touched noses together again at last. And here you can see they're at peace where they're laying together. For the next few minutes, the volunteers studied Bobby and Bobcat. They noticed how Bobcat stayed close to Bobby. They saw how he walked and his neck stuck out, and how he carefully lifted his front paws, placing them down as if he were unsure what he might step on. Someone waved a hand in front of Bobcat's face. Bobcat did not jump back. Another volunteer waved her hand. Bobcat did not even blink. Everyone was stunned. Bobcat was blind. All the time on her own, Bobby had been Bobcat's seeing eye dog. And here's kind of a nice picture of the two of them together. The volunteers and even an ace pet detective searched for their family with no success. 1 month later, Celebration Station closed its doors. But Bobby and Bobcat still did not have a home. There was only one thing left to try. The two Bobbies made a television appearance on CNN's Anderson Cooper 360. And I'll just show that. And you can see the dogs here on what would be the television set. The very next day, the Best Friends volunteers left for New Orleans. One of them drove Bobby and Bobcat to the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary in Utah, where they would stay until a new family could be found. They were on their way west when the news came in. Hundreds of people wanted to adopt them. It would take a very special family to adopt them together. The volunteers made a list and invited everyone on it to come and meet the two Bobbies. Only Melinda and her Boston Terrier Gus Gus made the long trip to Utah. That night, Bobby and Bobcat had a sleepover with Melinda and Gus Gus in one of the cottages on the sanctuary grounds. Would the two Bobbies choose Melinda? And here are two Bobbies. This is Gus Gus, and this is Melinda. The next morning, everyone knew the answer. Bobby and Bobcat were stuck to Melinda like Velcro. They also liked Gus Gus, and he liked them. Finally, Bobby and Bobcat had found their new family. And it's very nice to see how all of them are coming together here. Now they live with Melinda, Gus Gus, and Amelia on a ranch in southern Oregon. Bobcat has a window seat to sit in. He likes to play with the robot vacuum cleaner. He turns it on all by himself. Bobby helps with the ranch chores. She goes along on horse rides. On hot days, she lounges in the frog and fairy pond. At the end of every day, Bobby and Bobcat snuggle up together. They have toys and treats and lots of new friends, even a camel. Best of all, they have each other. And there's a picture of the two Boston Terriers, and Bobcat and Bobby. After the storm, like hundreds of others, the two Bobbies lost their family and everything dear to them when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. After they came to live with Melinda and Gus Gus, their veterinarian discovered debris and grit deep inside Bobcat's ear canals. His right eardrum was broken. Did Bobby snatch Bobcat from the dirty floodwaters that had filled New Orleans? No one will ever know, but it is very likely that a blind cat like Bobcat would not have made it without Bobby's protection. In turn, Bobcat's friendship may have made Bobby stronger and given her a reason to go on. Bobby and Bobcat survived Hurricane Katrina. They did it by lending each other a paw. And there is the real picture of Bobby and Bobcat. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this story because it is a true story and it truly shows how what we would normally see as animals that traditionally don't get along can lean on each other and help each other out. Thank you for allowing me to read this with you.